So, I found out about astral projection and it really caught my attention. So I found this random blog all about it and I started reading it. The blog is telling me to ask all the spirits around me for help and yada yada. Okay then. I fell asleep during the operation. I wake up to loud banging in my room. I'm like, oh shit. My parents rushed into my room and all sound just seemed to stop. I suddenly felt really tired and I just fell asleep again. I woke up and I feel someone touching my feet. The touching does not even stop if I move. I had to jump out of bed and spend the rest of the night praying and shit. A few days passed by after this with nothing happening. I wake up again in the middle of the night. Something is trying to drag me out of my bed. I can actually see my feet wobbling in the air. I can feel someone touching them. I just lost it. The next thing I remember in my memory is my father keeping me away from the window. Apparently, I tried to just jump out of my window. The next day, the noise is back. I am standing with my old man next to my room. We can actually hear it move from wall to wall, banging. I am much too scared to enter. So I am sleeping on the floor in my parents' room. Everything suddenly stopped, just like that. And soon after, a local priest blessed the house with his magic tap water, so everything was a-okay for a year. Then I joined a paranormal forum and found some guru trying to teach me about higher consciousness, so I have one or two more stories to share. It's around a year later. My father lost his battle with cancer. Then I lost my cat. I joined this paranormal forum to look for answers. I met a woman there. She considered herself enlightened. She was spewing this new age bullshit left and right. She seemed like a bit of a moron, if I'm honest. But me being even a bigger moron, I decided to get in touch with her. She agreed to teach me, showing me how to meditate and meet my spirit guide using her methods. She also sent me her old tarot deck. At the same time, my older sister started living with us again. She was seeking shelter from her ex-husband. I was sharing a room with her. After a week or two, I started feeling this presence around me. I was experiencing small things like a cold wind on my cheek when I thought about my guide. I started playing with it, asking it to do various things, like switching to the other side of my body, touching my arm, etc. That shit kinda worked. I was happy and scared at the same time. That same day, I started meditating again, and I felt someone pull on my nose. At the same time I felt the pulling on my nose, I heard a female voice in my head yelling, "Got you." Back then it was pretty funny. A few nights later after this, my sister woke me up. She was scared. She told me she felt someone invisible getting into her bed, like she felt the sensation, she felt the pressure and the heat, but no one was there. I told her about this female entity, and she never slept in this room again. During breakfast, my mother told me about her night experience. She woke up to hear a woman humming to herself. The sound traveled around the entire room, combined with knocking, and then stopped. In the morning, she said she found one of the drawers open. I asked the forum lady all about it. She told me I opened a passage or something. She asked me to talk kindly to the spirit, and then tell it to fuck off. Huh, what the hell? I did as she told me to do, and I woke up that same night with a feeling of danger. I was so scared for my life I ran to the kitchen. I sat on the chair and started praying. Something very cold started to crawl up my leg. I felt like I was losing my grip on reality, and I entered this dreamlike state. Then it stopped and left me alone. I felt the presence vanish. The next night was not any better. I woke up again scared and left my room. There is a big mirror in the corridor. Right when I passed by it, I caught a glimpse of something black following me. The next day, I visited the forum again. Just when I entered, I saw the guru lady fighting in the chat with the other users. I spoke with the others. It turns out the lady is batshit crazy, and I mean batshit crazy even by paranormal standards. They told me to get rid of everything that she might have sent me. I grabbed the tarot deck. I decided to bury it somewhere outside. The closer I get to the destination, the harder it was for me to walk. I actually had to sit down 1 or 2 times and regain my strength. I felt like my energy was being drained and faster than normal. This wasn't just because I was out of shape or something. It wasn't just that I was out of breath. I felt like the energy was literally leaving my body. So when I eventually got to a spot, I buried this shit in a nearby forest. Everything went back to normal. I felt like I dropped something heavy off my back. Like literally the second I buried it, I felt much lighter than I did before. Still no idea what was going on with this lady though. She stalked me for the next few months, managed to ruin my relationships with my GF, friends and family. It was the darkest time of my life. All I wanted to find out was if my cat was okay. Pick related. Fuck my life. This happened to me when I was a child. My parents are poor, living in a shitty, mold-ridden apartment at the time. I am really sick a lot as a kid, significantly. I am constantly on nebulizer. One night I'm just chilling on a futon and watching the Aristocats movie. This tall floor lamp catches my attention. By the tall floor lamp, there is an entity of sorts. The entity is tall, almost 9 feet tall. It's this ghostly skeleton-looking thing. I don't necessarily feel bad energy coming from it. I'm just spooked because, well, it's a skeleton ghost and it's towering over me. It disappears after a few seconds. I start seeing it every once in a while, here and there throughout my childhood. There are no significant life events to trigger its appearance. It just comes as it pleases. I have never seen it full on ever since I was that young. I only see it peek around corners and edges. For example, if I looked at a doorway, I would catch a sliver of white slip out of view. In before calling me a schizo, but my pets notice it too. So my cat was just chilling with me on the couch. The cat tenses all of a sudden and is staring at the doorway. I don't even want to look. The fear burns in my chest when I do. I get a glimpse of white when I look up. My cat goes behind the couch and will not come out from hiding. Same with my dog, who is a Rottweiler mix and really aggressive. The dog always flips his ears back and just gives me an oh shit kind of look. He gets close to me and leans against me with that dumb face until it's gone, and then he relaxes. I have not seen it since I was 16 years old, until last night. This is why I'm posting about it again. I am 21 years old. I was reading a book by myself. My cat is nowhere to be seen. I feel this intense dread, and I feel like I'm about to have a mental breakdown and cry. I look up. It's in plain view of my eyes. It's not even doing that corner peekaboo bullshit anymore. It's just standing right in front of me. It was only for a second, but I guess it wanted me to know it was there. It wanted its presence to be known. I have not seen it since last night, and I really don't want to. Growing up in Texas, I've heard similar stories before. I didn't know they had a name. My grandparents own land in the western part of the state, where all the cowboy movies and shit are filmed. Not gonna lie, it looks pretty much exactly like that. It's not all desert though. There are little patches of forest here and there, till you actually get into the mountainish area. It's about 20 miles west of Schneider, if you're wondering about the exact area I am referring to. Anyways, on with my story. I call it a story. It's just a story my great uncle told me one time I was out there. He is old as shit, a real serious guy who has lived out there his whole life. He has seen some really weird stuff out there. He never mentioned UFOs or anything, just odd-looking planes from the nearby Air Force Base. A lot of people in town mention an Air Force Base, which is weird because I could never find one on the map. If you guys do, let me know. They would come down really low to spook people for some reason. The skinwalker story, as you guys call them. Went almost exactly as the poster described it, with the whole voice-changing thing, except in his story, it completely turned into a person who had already gone home. He said it happened in his 20s, out camping in the woods with some friends. I always figured him and his friends were just drunk until I came upon this thread. He said that they heard some really strange yelling noises in the woods, stuff that did not sound animal or human, so they shouted, "Who is it?" Keep in mind, my great uncle, his name is Bobby. He would have been 20 in the 40s, so no kind of audio devices were really widespread, I'm pretty sure. And then the voice replied something like, "Warish," then "Wadish," and then finally, "Who is it?" in the same guy's voice that shouted first. I can't remember his name. They went and got their guns, and they start looking around the woods for whatever this thing is, but nobody finds anything. Eventually, they give up, and it gets dark, so they go fishing. The sun starts to go down, so they go fishing in a stream nearby. They set up the pop-up camper and make a fire. They are hanging out, drinking, when they hear someone shout, "Hello," from out in the woods. Everyone stops and is silent. Bobby decides to shout back, and it's silent for a while. He said it was way too quiet. He told this part of the story with horror in his eyes. The voice calls back, "Who is it?" It's the same voice from before, the guy's voice that was sitting at the fire. They freak the hell out, understandably. They all grab guns, split up, and go looking for it again. Apparently, nothing was found, and they all went back to where they were camping, scared shitless. The guy, I can't remember his name, whose voice was being mimicked, decides he is done with this shit, and he goes home, along with the friend that he brought with him. Later that night, everything has calmed down. My uncle has scored a girl, and is talking to her and drinking, and later on, the guy comes back, the one whose voice was being mimicked. Let's call him Billy. These are old people now, so old names. He says he got bored after he dropped his friend off, and decided to come back. They all have a great night. Then when they wake up, Billy is not in the camper with them. No one can find him anywhere. They look around for a while, and eventually they leave the campsite. A few days later, my uncle Bobby is in town and sees Billy. He asks what happened to him. Billy replies, "I wasn't about to wait around and find out who or what was in the woods. I figured it was best to drink by myself at home." Bobby is dumbfounded. "Bill, you were with us all night. You came back to the stream a couple of hours later." Bill is confused, and his friend and brother who are with him confirm that he never went back to the stream, and instead spent the night with them. Bobby has always wondered what it was that spent the night with them, and he never did hear that noise again. I'm always scared I will hear it when I go hunting out there, but then the curious part of me kind of wants to see it too. It's enough to keep you awake in your tent though, that's for sure. This all happened to me within the last month, though the beginning of it was around the start of the year. I am 20 years old. This happened on a Saturday. I was set at my dining table spot where I usually did my community college work. It's late at night. Bad habits die hard. My eyes are burning and my brain is just mush at this point. I decide to call it a night/early morning. I prepare to go upstairs and crash on my bunk. The time is probably 2 a.m. I leave my prized Airwalk wallet on the dining table, on top of a stack of 7 plate mats, which lies about 2 feet away from where I sit. I usually put it in my coat, ready for the next day's commute, but it's not like the wallet's going to go anywhere. I turn off the lights and crawl upstairs. I go to the bathroom, come out again, enter my bed, and sleep. The weekend passes. I barely notice the wallet. It's Monday morning. I scramble downstairs, ready to pack up my papers before leaving for college. I get angry. My wallet is not on the table. The vein is pulsing in my forehead. I need that money to pay for my train ticket. All of my money is in there. Bank card, my recently acquired driver's permit. Rifling through my small bookshelf in the dining room. After my bro moved in, pretty much everything apart from my clothes was packed into this small bookshelf. It's not there. I eventually leave for college with some shamefully borrowed money. Over the next 2 weeks, I rip apart the house, searching for the wallet. The IOUs are reaching the roof. I soon convince myself I lost the thing on a train. Everyone else is losing stuff too. Nearly most of the year passes by. My dad is losing his wallet every single week and finds it in improbable, directly inside places. I'm living out now. I get a picture on WhatsApp from my mom. It's my wallet. She found it in the bookshelf of my sister's room. What the hell? I'm sure it's the work of some entity. I get home, full of anticipation for getting back my wallet. Oddly, I forget about it until a day or two passes. I get updated on things at home. My younger sister has been blanking out during classes and has been really stressed at school. I ask her how it's even possible to find a lost item on a bookshelf that's been in daily use ever since we got it. She is just as stumped as I am. She also tells me that Dad's wallet has gone missing again. I tell her that I believe that some entity, I call it Jinn, must have hid the stuff since nobody in the house ever pulls pranks like this. The next day comes. I am in bed when I can hear my family in the kitchen discussing loudly the discovery of my dad's stuff. I get curious. I ask them what's up. My dad's wallet was found on the side dresser next to his bed. The first place he looked while searching miraculously had the wallet just lying there. Also, my mom had a dream of a very tall man with an unclear face and black clothing. He claimed to be the one responsible for the mischief, and that he was having a lot of fun hiding the objects. My mom tells my dad about the dream. He meditates in order to talk to the Jinn. The Jinn admits, whether to my dad or in the dream, I can't remember well, that he followed my sister home from her school and has been occupying the house ever since virtually the start of the year. He admitted to being the one giving her migraines and blackouts and influencing her behavior to be more aggressive. He said he also had a great time messing with everyone's stuff. My dad tells him to get out of the house and wants proof that he is gone. The Jinn agrees to leave and says that he will take some of the coin change in my dad's pocket to prove he is gone. My dad checks his pocket. Most of the money is gone. This happened to me roughly 8 years ago. I was going on a semi-road trip kind of thing with some friends from another state. We were driving down the highway. It's getting pretty late and pretty dark. We decided to stop at the next exit and look for a hotel to crash at since we didn't really fancy sleeping in the car. It's exit 21. There is no city name. There are no road signs other than just exit 21. There are no businesses or etc. I'm already getting an uneasy vibe, but we are tired, so screw it. Let's see what we can find. There is not a car in sight, which is understandable. It's really late and we're in a mostly rural area. One direction of the road is completely gone. Not even closed off, just basically non-existent. It's just trees. We say screw it. We take the only other route. The road shortly turns to what feels like dirt. It's dark, so it's hard to see anything, but we eventually start seeing at least some buildings. There are no lights on, not even so much as a street lamp. I am already telling my buddy, screw this, turn the car around, I've got a really bad feeling. He agrees and starts turning around. My other friend freaks the hell out, saying he saw a figure roughly 50 feet away from us, holding something in its hand. We hear this really weird, loud noise, almost like a car backfiring, but it's hard to put my finger on it. This makes me freak out even more. My buddy slams on the gas and bolts out of there like it was a GTA mission. I happen to glance out into the trees as we are going back down the road that we came from, and I see several dark figures, not just one. We are all basically screaming our lungs out at this point. We finally get back on the highway. We drive for probably 10 miles before we finally stop off at a civilized spot. We check into a cheap motel. The guy behind the desk, he is a really chill guy with an accent. I'm pretty sure he was Jamaican. He asks us if we were from out of town. I tell him yes, and ask him what the hell is up with exit 21. His eyes jumped up like he had just felt a tumor. Didn't you boys see the sign at the off-ramp? My friend, we didn't see any damn signs at all. Apparently, the town has been abandoned for a while, and there have been keep out signs put up, and even attempts to block off the road. The guy tells us, you boys better thank God that you made it out of there. He tells us that several people over the years have gone missing near there, including some children recently. Probably the scariest experience of my life. My friends and I still bring it up sometimes. When this story took place, I was working as a sailor off of the coast of Turkey. My captain's friend had brought a new sailboat a little down from Istanbul, but didn't have the experience to sail it down the southern coast where he lived, so he called him to help. The ship was a beaut, built to last, with the only flaw being the damn bilge water pumps, which never worked, and I had to clean with a sponge through my time in the boat. Some genuine Cuban cigars left over from the previous owners I found in a cupboard on the boat, and this really made up for it. Since the new owner was providing plenty of alcohol, and it was a nice summer, we were going from cove to cove, just sailing, taking our time and savoring the moment. The first few days were almost idyllic. Some mishaps happened, of course. The boat's propeller had to be replaced due to a malfunction in the middle of the sea, and I had to serve as live bait for an overly curious dolphin so it did not bother the captain while he was underneath the water trying to fix it. Later on, another group of dolphins raced with us, almost giving us a show. They are a lot less terrifying when you are out of the water. Laugh if you want, but dolphins are no joke. They can mess you up. Anyways, it was the third day. We had fully spent that day at sea sailing. We had made quite a long way already, passing Gallipoli, and being far enough from civilization that the closest settlement was a village quite far away. It was getting dark, and we had charted the cove that we were going to stay at. An interesting thing about the Aegean coast of Turkey is that you can almost always find several abandoned villages if you sail down it. Back in 1923, the League of Nations forced a population exchange between Greece and Turkey, basically ethnic cleansing of people who had lived in those lands for hundreds of years, with the excuse of preventing future genocides. The cove we were staying at had one such village. I had taken the liberty of having a joyride with the dinghy of the boat around the place and found the half-sunken village. It's always strange seeing places that once had life so desolate, but I did not want to risk puncturing the admittedly cheap dinghy on the rocks below of the shallow water, so I did not come too close. One thing that did catch my eye was that the houses, at least some of them, had some script I did not recognize carved into the rocks. Other notable things were a small herd of goats on the shore who were really loud on the beach a bit further out from the village, a single donkey that was just standing in a place it had no place to be. I thought maybe a villager had come to graze the herd, but we were the only ones on the cove. I went back to the boat. From it, the abandoned village, the beach with the animals, they were not at all visible due to a small island covered in bush blocking the view. The cove was deep, so only a little bit of the open sea was visible from where we were anchored. The majority of our surroundings were just Mediterranean bushes connected to the mainland, thick enough to not show any of the rocky land below. The boat by now was smelling nicely of the fish that we had caught earlier and had now nicely fried. The sunset was beautiful, and with good conversation and alcohol, although I did not partake too much since someone has got to be a little bit sober, and also showering with bug spray. The night was slowly progressing, and it was a full moon that night, much to my displeasure, as I was looking forward to seeing the Milky Way in a place without light pollution. It was still a beautiful enough night that I decided to light one of my cigars that day. I don't remember the exact time. It was late. The captain was laying on the seats next to the helm, and since we were anchored but not secured to the shore, the boat was drifting with the wind ever so slightly. I went on the deck and lit up my cigarette. About halfway through, I noticed something, well, the lack of something. At that time, normally the cicadas are loud enough to be a constant, annoying cacophony. It was all silent. There was no noise but the soft waves crashing against the hull. The air started feeling oppressive, Despite the full moon bathing everything in its light, the shore seemed almost pitch black. I felt like I was being watched. By then, my cigar was out. It took a while for me to notice. I am nearsighted, so I had to find my glasses first. But there, on the shore, in the bushes, there seemed to be eyes. The more I looked, the more there seemed to be. I thought they were goats or something, but there were too many. I think maybe more than 70 or 80 pairs of them. They were not stationary either. It was like they were pacing, trying to come closer, and then retreating before touching the water. At that point, I quickly went back to the helm and woke up the captain. At first, he tried to dismiss me, but I told him to look. He turned his head, complaining, but he became silent once he turned. He told me to shut the lights of the boat down, even the mast lights that should always be on at night for safety reasons, so other boats do not collide with you. I did as he asked. He was still looking at the shore. We were sitting in the dark now. Whatever they were, they continued watching for a while with a lot less movement, but they did not leave for at least an hour or two. I asked my captain, and he said they were just restless spirits. He said it was best not to visit the shore ever again. I could not sleep much, even after they were gone, but Captain did not have any problems. I didn't see those things again. When we left in the morning, the silence was still there. Frankly, I still do not know what to make of it. I hope the animals on the shore were fine. This happened to me when I was back in high school. I had just moved to a new city for my dad's new job. We moved into an older 2-story home. Everything is fine for a couple of weeks. The house seems pretty normal. One summer night, I was laying in my room, and I felt this really odd feeling, like something bad was about to happen. I sat there for a while and tried to just ignore the feeling and go to sleep. Then I start to hear this weird groaning sound. It sounds like screaming, almost. It gets louder, to the point where it starts to really hurt my ears. It sounds like multiple people screaming frantically. It stops. There is nothing but silence, and I am laying in a pitch-black room. I hear someone coming down the hall, and my mom opens up the door to ask if I was playing any music or video games, because the screaming woke her and my dad up. It woke up my little brother too. I said I didn't, and that I had no idea what it was or where it came from. It sounded like from everywhere, if that makes sense. It freaked us all out, and after a couple of days, my mom asked my neighbors what was the history of the house. It was built in the 50s, but a fire killed a family that was living inside of it. The house was not too damaged and was rebuilt. Here's the messed up part. It's about 1 year afterwards. I fell asleep and was woken up at like 3 a.m. by a weird sounding laugh. I looked around in the dark to see what looked like a silhouette of a woman. The image gets clearer, and it looks like a woman in charred 1950s clothing. I see her face and it looks burned and skull-like, while the other half was almost fine. One half was all burns and a skeleton. She screamed, and suddenly she just flew at me. I freaked out and ran from my room. My parents woke up and had heard the scream also. We moved out and into a cheap apartment while we were selling the house. We eventually moved out of that place and had a new one. We sold it to some young couple out of Boston. They have had no issues apparently. This happened to me 2 years ago. This brush fire is burning hot, but it's far away. I am working the night shift. I have seen lots of weird crap, but this one stuck with me all this time. I am a security guard on Firewatch. It's far away and nothing interesting to look at other than the ominous glow beyond the horizon. The wind is on my back. Suddenly, the air is still. Everything is cold. I feel like I'm being stalked by a mountain lion or something. Screw green text. I need to type out some details. This is the first time I've ever talked about this beyond my coworkers. What I noticed bothered me because when I looked directly at it, it was not there. But when I looked slightly off it, it looked like a sphere floating in the air about 20 feet off of the ground. No sound other than the distant trees being blown around. The sphere just hovered there without making a single sound. It had to be about 4 feet across. The area was poorly lit due to no power, and when I shined my flashlight in that direction, nothing illuminated. But I knew it was there. Only when I did not look directly at it could I see its rough shape, and it was black, like the stars were missing in that spot. I kept away from it after I noticed it. I even went into the building and looked everywhere but directly at it. It just stayed there, never moving, never making a sound. It was just quiet. I've seen enough movies to know what happens to curious security guards at night when it comes to paranormal stuff. It was a big facility, and honestly, I could carry on all night with all of the weird stuff I saw at that place and my coworker. These strange sightings are the only reason why I started browsing X in the first place. Weird stuff happened there, and thankfully, I have never seen any strange things beyond there. Maybe I have an active imagination or something, but I am certain I was not dreaming, and I didn't know what it was. I have seen it a few times since that event, but that is the first time I saw it and noticed it, and it was also the scariest by far.